Yui Ishida introduces us to several messed up characters in Tokyo Ghoul. We have the twisted doctor Akihiro Kano, who used Rize's Kakuho for experiments. We have the testicle-crushing Nutcracker, the Torso, and the torturous Kaneki. But few are as big of a degenerate as Big Madam, who has no care for life as a whole. To her, everyone is an object or a toy, and if that toy matches her taste, she will go through any lengths to possess it and play all sorts of tricks to keep the toy wrapped around her finger. She relishes bringing unsuspecting humans to a restaurant of ghouls, forces one of her human pet slaves to kill those humans, and enjoys when those slain humans are served as food. She throws a dumb fit when things don't work according to her desires, and drools when she finds the opportunity to play with the human of her choice. However, there's more to her than meets the eye, which we find out about as she's on the verge of death. So, the question lies in whether Big Madam is truly who she seems to be, or what she seems to be. To get the answers, let's dive into this video. Who is Big Madam? How did she get so big? Big Madam was a highly influential ghoul within the ghoul community. Although powerful in her own right, she was notorious for her extensive reach in the black market network that dealt with Tsukiyama's ghoul restaurant and its dinner shows, as well as selling humans as auctions. She also worked with the notorious ghoul known as Nutcracker, who was tasked with capturing humans as food for Gourmet's restaurant. Dabbling in high-scale illegal activities worked in Big Madam's favor, making her extensively wealthy. She's presented as a stereotypically conceited individual who revels in the opulence she has acquired through backhanded means and lives a life of great luxury. Her design portrays her as an overweight woman with strawberry blonde hair. She had braces on her teeth, did not don a facial mask like other ghouls, and always wore expensive and luxurious clothes and jewelry. She was also known for sporting tinted sunglasses and gaudy makeup. Big Madam's weight is a bit unusual for a ghoul, because ghouls have not been shown to have the type of health issues humans do, some of which can cause unchecked weight gain, and more importantly, ghouls don't eat human food. Because they mostly feast on humans and coffee, it's unlikely that they'll have access to as many calories as people. Some ghouls are gluttonous, however, such as Rize Kamishiro, or the binge eater. However, she has never been shown as an overweight ghoul, possibly because she hunts for her own food. Big Madam, on the other hand, deals with the ghoul restaurant, where she can be gluttonous without needing to hunt. It's unlikely for her to have been a cannibal because of her nature. With access to the best food a ghoul can enjoy, Big Madam doesn't seem to be the type who would want to engage in cannibalism, since ghouls aren't as delicious to other ghouls. Also, had she been a cannibal, she would have had a kakuja, and it would probably have been addressed since the kakuja was uncommon, and every time a ghoul had it, their cannibalistic practices were discussed. However, her physiology is not so dependent on her canonical life, but more so as a result of design intent. She is portrayed as a filthy rich woman who has a huge tendency to overindulge in things. That's why her makeup is tacky and her jewelry flashy. She is the embodiment of excess, which is reflected in her design. Big Madam's indulgences do not end with her being able to afford the highest luxuries. She loves collecting humans, and not just for the restaurant, but also for her personal pleasure, so as to keep them as her pets. She seeks petite humans who look feminine, irrespective of their gender, and also has a soft spot for those who are handsome. Her personality is like that of an overly spoilt brat, with her drooling with excitement at the thought of getting what she wants and lashing out uncontrollably like a child when things don't go her way. In many ways, she seems like Big Mom from One Piece, with both characters being depicted as overweight and obese due to their overindulgences. How did Big Madam meet Juuzou Suzuya? Their brutal and sadistic relationship. Big Madam met Juuzou Suzuya after he was kidnapped when he was very young, since Juuzou, formerly known as Rei, had struck Big Madam's fancy. Despite being a boy, Suzuya had a feminine and petite physical appearance, which made him a must-have for Big Madam. She was sadistic and a complete degenerate as a being, as she reveled in torturing others. Unfortunately for Suzuya, the same fate fell upon him after he came under Big Madam's wing. As Suzuya grew up, he was trained to execute circus acts for Big Madam's ghoul customers. Success would earn him good boy points, which would motivate Suzuya to perform well every time. This system, however, was cunningly rigged, as Big Madam used it as a positive motivation to torture Rei for her personal amusement. With each point Suzuya earned, Big Madam would add a stitch with a needle on his face. He was also kept in the dungeon more often than not. However, what made it even more twisted was Big Madam's desperation to make Suzuya a girl and prevent his feminine appearance from fading away with age. He would dress him like a doll and would find excitement in Suzuya looking cute as a girl, in fear of him losing his feminine appeal after hitting puberty and, by extension, becoming ugly in Big Madam's point of view. She castrated him with a hammer, so as to prevent his masculine development. Castration before puberty prevents the production of testosterone, which causes other male attributes such as deep voices, longer bones, and facial hair to manifest. In yesteryears, some prepubescent boys in classical music would be castrated so as to preserve their higher voices. Naturally, with Suzuya castrated at such a young age, he never got the opportunity to sexually develop into his assigned gender at birth and acquired the androgynous appearance he is known for in the Tokyo Ghoul universe. What made this worse was the fact that Big Madam achieved her objective by using a hammer instead of surgically cutting off, even when she had all the financial means and social power to get it done in a more humane way. For her, it wasn't just about what she wanted, she needed to indulge in the act of harming people for her own entertainment. And yet, she would occasionally be affectionate towards her pet Suzuya, reading books to him, playing with him much like a mother would. This created a complicated situation where Suzuya could not bring himself to hate her, which would have been easier had she only been horrible to him. It wouldn't be a reach to call Big Madam a narcissist, as her tendency to alternate between affection and violence to keep her pet obedient is a cruel tactic often employed by narcissists who abuse their victims. Eventually, Suzuya was made to work as a scrapper in the Ghoul restaurant, where he adopted the name Juuzou. The higher class society of ghouls found great amusement in the dismantling show, where the members lured innocent humans into the restaurant as their guests, got them to shower and change into formal attire, and trapped them within an arena. In this arena, they found themselves around a human slave, which was often one of Big Madam's pets, in this case Juuzou, who was known as the Scrapper. In this line of work, Juuzou was made to kill the humans or the meals of the high society ghouls in ways that were spectacular for those twisted guests. Following the dismantling of the humans, they would be prepared by the staff of the Ghoul restaurant and served to those that were attending the show. The first time Juuzou had tried to kill someone as the Scrapper, he felt sick for many days, but with him being the victim of constant abuse as Big Madam's pet and being forced to live as a girl, he eventually began to lose his sense of morality, which acted as a form of self-preservation. He was later rescued after the CCG raided the sadistic Big Madam's estate, forcing her to flee and leaving her pet behind. How powerful of a ghoul is Big Madam? What's her official rank? Big Madam was an SS rank ghoul who was born with enhanced physical stats due to her physiology as a ghoul. This meant that she had enhanced strength and durability and could regenerate. She also had a Bikaku Kagune that manifested as a thick tail, which gave her a natural advantage over Rinkaku types such as Rize Kamashiro, but put her at a natural disadvantage against ghouls with an Ukaku Kagune such as Toka Kirishima. Big Madam's tail could extend to great lengths. As a filthy rich ghoul, Big Madam was hardly seen without her ghoul bodyguards, which safeguarded her even more, but due to her SS rating, she was strong even by herself. She was a prominent antagonist during the auction arc in Tokyo Ghoul Re, where the Quink squad was notified about her during a briefing with regard to the Nutcracker case, who had worked as one of Big Madam's employees. She was also notorious enough for Ito Yoshimura to mention her since the topic of conversation was the auction. In the auction itself, Big Madam managed to purchase Toru Mutsuki as she placed the record-winning bid of 200 million yen. It made sense for Big Madam to be so interested in the Quinks because he was a female at birth but chose to live as a man, using highly masculine pronouns because he was uncomfortable with his biological gender. However, before Big Madam could revel in excitement after her big win, things went south for her as Suzuya revealed himself and began to kill all the ghouls. Big Madam retreated to the underground where she was intercepted by the S-rated Quinks known as Kuki Uri. He possessed a Kokaku Kagune and an SS-rated Bikaku Quinke. However, Big Madam managed to defeat him and swallow him whole, showing an obvious gap in strength. Soon after, Ure was able to escape, but as he went berserk in an attempt to control his F4 Kagune, he could not fight Big Madam properly and had to be rescued by Suzuya's squad. In the end, she was severely wounded as Suzuya used his Quinke, Jason, on her. Is Big Madam a real woman? The disturbing truth about their gender. In a pitiful position after being wounded by her former pet, Big Madam begs Suzuya for mercy, but Suzuya was way too desensitized to emotions at this point. Although he claimed that he never hated Big Madam despite everything she did, he would still kill her because that was his job. This implied that it didn't matter to him if he still had a soft spot for Big Madam. She furiously claimed that she had never loved Suzuya or Juuzou and was then killed by the squad members. Suzuya was saddened by Big Madam's death as she was his parent figure and the cycle of hot and cold behavior from her had prevented Suzuya from genuinely being able to hate her. In the end, he sorrowfully bid farewell to Big Madam, but in a twist of events, addressed her as father. The reason for this was never revealed by mangaka Yui Ishida. Now, some people believe that Suzuya called her that because Big Madam filled the shoes of both of his parents, but based on Big Madam's extreme fascination with cross-gendered humans, it would be possible for her to have been an assigned male at birth. Unhappy and uncomfortable with her biological gender, she embraced life as a woman. With her personality and desire to collect humans like toys and pets, it made sense for her to specifically prefer boys who looked like girls or girls who lived as boys. This is why she toyed with Suzuya so much and why she spent absurd amounts of money on Toru in the auction. Big Madam also considered masculinity in the traditional sense to be unappealing, probably because she had been uncomfortable with herself in a masculine body at some time and wished to be a woman. This led to the gruesome castration of Suzuya, preventing him from developing into his manliness post-puberty. Having lived with Big Madam, however, Suzuya might have known the secret, which is why he addressed her as father in her dying moments. It could also be Suzuya getting some form of revenge for the abuse and torture he was put through. Had Big Madam been a man, considering her nature and aversion to masculinity, she would hate being addressed as such, especially after claiming that she never loved Juuzou. If he happened to reveal her secret in her dying moment, addressing her as the one thing she hated being, it would affect her, even if it was only for a few seconds. Marvelous verdict! Ultimately, the reason why Big Madam is seen as such a terror is due to her external anatomy oozing overindulgence, more so than her being a ghoul. It tells us that she has the monetary pull in the dark world and this social power that puts physical strength to shame. It tells us that she's a hoarder and will go to any lengths for it. It doesn't matter if she wants to hoard jewelry or humans because Big Madam has all the yen in the world to get what she wants. With that, today's video comes to an end. What do you think of Juuzou calling Big Madam his father? Do you have any explanations that you want to share with us? If so, then don't forget to like and comment down below. Until next time, thanks for watching and have a marvelous day.